Hey guys, History Nerd here, back with another exciting episode of Civ 5 Venice. Now, unfortunately, when I recorded this, I had my microphone turned off. So I am doing a little bit of play-by-play action after the fact, 2 days after the fact. So, yeah, hopefully what I'm doing makes sense. Because otherwise, this play-by-play, it's not going to be all that helpful. Alright, so you can see, obviously, we're just finishing up on the building of new tiles. We've got our explorer, who we sent across to the ruins in Genoa, got himself upgraded, and we're going to use this military force to sort of keep an eye on the close region, the area close to Venice, just so that barbarian camps won't pop up there, right? 'Cause nobody wants that. Nobody wants barbarian camps just popping up all willy-nilly. And considering the geographical area we've got in this game, taking a look at the minimap in this massive peninsula to the south of us, it's probably going to be a good idea to get a bit of a military force up so we're not totally overrun by barbarians for the entire game, which could theoretically happen. Now, let's take a look at the tech tree. I'm saying something about what I'm going to go after. Looks like it's currency, so we're going to go with mathematics first. There's no point in developing a currency if you guys don't have math. Just FYI. Okay, now if we take a look at the general layout of Venice, you can see that we've got a wonderful harbor. But on the other side, you got nothing. So I purchased that ocean square to give us sort of an eastern area where we can repair ships as well. And obviously I'm assuming that those are going to grow as time goes on. Well, assuming. I know they will. I may not be an expert at Civ 5, but I know that much. Borders do grow. Alright, mulling things over, and I think I go with a college here. Strangely for myself, happiness is in the green, so that's a good thing. You can see our, what I was checking out there was how long it would take before I'd have to build the national focus to give it a spot for great work. Turns out, plenty of time. So, the higher education is the way to go. And yeah, so that's pretty much all that's going on with Venice at the moment. We got our trade routes going along nicely. And, yeah, I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking there. Obviously, I'm indicating things on the map. Perhaps that hilltop would have been a much better location for those archerers, but I think what I wind up doing is bringing the archerers back to upgrade them. Because, as you can see, those ruins had pretty outdated weapons. But nope, I leave them in the field. Why not? Oh, and there we go. I recognized the big problem. My cat is not appreciative of me obviously not paying attention to him while I'm recording a voiceover. Yeah, if I had been smart and turned on the microphone. To be fair, I don't even know how the microphone got turned off. Because I never turn it off. Purely for this reason. But I digress. Anyway, so I'm thinking I've got enough troops fanned out for the north and the south there. Obviously, further on, they'll be able to train more barbarians. and set up more camps, but at least that gives me a little bit of an area to see where they're coming and to shift resources in case I need to.
Mathematics is the gate and key to the sign.
Now we can get that archer upgraded and send him back out to that hilltop. Job well done. And we're cutting it very close with the religions. We can see that another religion has been founded. We are down to 2. Who knows if Venetian corporatism will even be founded, let alone take over the world, but it's certainly not looking likely. And we're just gonna plop a farm down on the tundra. You can see we can't build a trade post. What I'm going to wind up doing, though, is making those... There's no way for me to indicate this, unfortunately. I'm not in control of the game. But making that farm, and then the farm directly below it into trade posts, and sort of make that the expanding trade zone of the Venetian Empire. We've got a few farms. I think we've got enough farms. And, thankfully, with our position, most of our food production tiles are going to be coming from the ocean. And I think that makes sense for Venice. So, there you have it. And trying to scout out resources, I believe I'm looking for iron, and indeed I have no iron. Now we can see Genoa does have 2 units of iron. And still thinking that that's going to be the first city that I'm going to purchase with a great merchant. We'll have coverage on both sides of this ocean, and we'll get a little bit of iron, because the rest of the iron in this location, it's too far away. I don't think Venice is going to get big enough to actually make use of it. It's just really making me wish I just cranked the city-states right to the max that could go, so Venice would actually have some targets for expansion. But, that being said, you know, this is kind of the way you're supposed to play them. So, no big empires, just one city, a couple of puppets, and money. Now, granted, we're kind of missing that last bit. Well, to be fair, we're missing 2/3 of that. We've got no puppets, and we've got very little money. So, you know, but we got a city. And we can see the Arabs have nothing, and they're not willing to give anything for Wales. So we get an embassy going with them. We can find out where their city is, and it's down there. Now, I expected it to be more to the west, sort of right where the globe is on the mini-map in the bottom right corner.
Better is bread with a happy heart.
Because it seems odd that all 3 of the competing civs are down in the southern little bit of the continent, leaving this area wide open. And we can see, because of the iron shortages that Venice is facing, we opt for the settler one, which actually gives us a great merchant, and we're going to go off and purchase Genoa right now. Mulling over technologies, we go for guilds, and getting back to Genoa, historically speaking, I think it makes sense that Venice is the one that takes Genoa. I think that's just a little bit of real-life history playing out in a Civ game. And our treasury has dropped to nothing. No! And I believe I'm moving that. Have I lost? No, I haven't lost that trade ship yet. At some point, pirates wind up killing that trade ship. And, yeah, gives rise to the Venetian. There we go. So there's the trade route plundered, right on the borders of the freaking Aztec city. And so it's up to Venice to sail in and, you know, not just protect the trade route, but in this case, prevent raiders from hitting the capital of the Aztecs. Which kind of makes me question whether the Aztecs would be good trading partners or not. There's me fervently shaking the mouse, showing my anger at the Aztecs and their inability to protect my trade routes. And there we have it. We've purchased Genoa, and bam, we are losing a lot of money now. With the trade route gone and a second city, it's not all that great. But we got iron now, and we can see that the citizens of Genoa realize the problem and instantly start producing a market, whereas the Venetians are much more inclined to continue making that oracle. And now with the trade route safely back open, and a ship safely trained, well, not safely, but training up, and in desperate need of repairs too, we're ready to resume trade. And we can see the Genoan? The military forces of Genoa were much larger than they needed to be by a whole double. Now granted, I probably could have used that archerer somewhere on the borders to prevent barbarian raiders from coming along, but such is life. You can see what I want is commerce, obviously, but it's a medieval tech, and I believe we are 6 turns away, so that's unfortunate timing. But with the social policy that I did select there, the budget problems of Venice are all but gone. Now, we're not actually making money, but we don't have a trade ship back in the water yet either. Ah, look at that. More trade issues.
Dumb. Halak.
And we can see, interestingly enough, Dido is not willing to resume the whale trade. And we'll get dyes for that, and we'll take it, because dyes are good. And it looks like the Arabs now have a luxury resource, but it's just one. So that's useless for a trade, and I'm fairly certain they're not going to be offering me any money for whales. So we're stuck without a customer, which is unfortunate. We can go ahead and repair that ship, and just hurriedly click next turn to get that market up and operating in Venice. And surprisingly, Dido's willing to make that trade now. So, not sure what changed in that brief period of time, but obviously something did. And sadly, even with Carthaginian dyes... Oh no, it's Aztec dyes now. And Carthaginian money. We're still not as happy as the Aztecs. These things will change. We can see I'm either lost in a rant or completely zoned out, waiting to hit that next turn button. But I finally learned my lesson. And with a market in Venice, we can finally begin work on thinking maybe about getting a trade ship back up for trade with the Aztecs. And I opt for the cheap, low-maintenance national epic, which will be of use soon, once that great writer comes about and finishes his beautiful masterpiece of human literature.
The merchants and the traders have come.
And there we go, we've got info about building artist guilds and medieval technology and all that fun stuff. And taking a look at the options for our research, we don't really have any roads or anything, but we go with... What do we go with? We go with compass, because obviously we need a harbor to link up Genoa and Venice, so we can get an internal trade route going, and that would obviously be a good thing. Because internal trade is a good thing. Now you can see I've also forgotten, in my infinite wisdom, to set that one worker to build a trade post over the farm. But I rectify my No, I don't. I don't rectify my mistake at all. Eventually I get to it. Yep, the raiders have returned. But it was only one ship. It looks like the Aztecs were able to take care of it, thankfully. And obviously at this time we don't have much to worry about, with no trade flowing. So I'm just going to plop a ship right there and prevent those coastal raiders from making it up into the Aztec capital. Now it'd be nice if they would pay me for such a honorable positioning of my elite naval units, but, well, unit, but they don't. We can see him there trying to bait me, and he succeeds. And it's that moment where I briefly looked at the training of the units that I realized I'm using a city raider to attack primarily naval units. In fact, there won't be much attacking of cities with that unit for the foreseeable future. So, poor forethought. But that's alright, we'll survive. And now we can see reinforcements are on the way. But we can sink that last barbarian ship. No, we cannot. So while the East India Trade Company is nice, first and foremost, we need to get some sort of trade going. And obviously some kind of fleet down in the area as well. First and foremost, though, we've got the capital fairly protected. And I opt for the retreat. with Hinduism being founded in Carthage, we are down to very slim chances of founding corporatism. We've got 90 faith to go before it's even possible, and obviously you don't get a great missionary or a great prophet right off the bat. So, desperate times in old Venice. We'll slowly limp that ship back to port. And end our turn. And now the construction of the great Venetian fleet can begin in earnest. I don't know why I put my trade ship to sleep there. Oh, yes I do. Because we have no way to protect it. That's making sense.
Three things are necessary.
And a golden age dawns with the discovery of theology. And there we have it. I shall rectify the northern farms and convert that into a proper trade zone. Then you can see me indicating there the two farms that I am going to convert. And obviously the rest of the northern tundra area will be trade as well.
Tom opened his eyes and looked upon his master. Ye poor miserable critter, he said. There ain't no more ye can do. I forgive you with all my soul. And he fainted entirely away.
So there we can see the glorious Venetian classic of Uncle Tom's Cabin being wonderfully displayed. And in hindsight, because I have the ability of hindsight, I should have begun production on the Hagia Sophia right away, as opposed to creating yet another naval force. 2 ships should be enough to defend the little zone. However, 3, in my head, is always better. So we construct one last ship. And send it on its way. We've got a religion enhanced, thankfully no new one founded. We can get our military units down to protect our trade route. Things are starting to look up for Venice. Enjoying a golden age, constructing a fleet, magnificent buildings. And even providing a service to our neighbors in the form of barbarian protection. We're a force for good in this world. At least the good of Venice. finally adopt the commerce, tech, or social policy. And continue the push to make Venice the trading power that it can and should be. Genoa happily producing a temple to try and encourage faith. We can push our defensive zone out just a little bit, so we can have our... Excuse me. So we can have our ships in a better position to gang up on the barbarians, unless they come through. We've pretty much run out of things to build in and around Venice, so we'll send that worker back to sleep. And with the construction of the East India Company, we'll begin work on the Hagia Sophia. And not a moment too soon, I might add. Got that last trade post up and working, and we can see that we're already making 34 gold a turn. That is a vast improvement over the 4 that we were earlier. In fact, some might even say that it's an increase of 30 gold a turn. But we can also see that we weren't able to complete the Hagia Sophia. So why not another cargo ship? We've got 4 trade routes to use after all, we might as well use them. And with the end of our Golden Age, we can see that our actual income is 24 gold a turn, which is still not too shabby compared to the 4 that it was previously. And with almost 1,000 gold in the bank, we can actually consider ourselves to be in fairly good economic position. I'd like to think anyway.
The great thing in this world is not so much where we stand, as in what direction we are moving.
That's some deep thoughts. We decide to pursue the course of engineering for no real reason. We've got no bridges to build, no reason for forts or aqueducts, and the Great Wall has already been built, so... you know. Now, that's not to say that there's no reason for an aqueduct, but at this stage, there's really no reason for an aqueduct. The Venetian Navy decides to push its patrol route further south, right to the barbarian camp. And we can see I have no idea why I built a trade ship, because there's no other places to trade. But that's fine. As soon as one opens up, we'll have a trade ship ready and waiting. And now my plan here is to just purchase the harbor in Genoa when the harbor in Venice is ready, thus instantly linking the two cities in glorious trade network goodness. And critically, something I can afford to do. We can see the proud Venetian navy has that barbarian ship cornered, and we sail gloriously on to victory. I'm going to leave these two other triremes in position. They're damaged, but not greatly damaged. A little bit of scuffed paint, a couple of minor dents, maybe a hole or two well above the waterline, but for the most part, those ships are sound. So we'll leave them patrolling, just to keep the trade lane safe. And with the failure of corporatism to take over, we can see that the Aztecs are happily sending missionaries to Venice now. And so we will most likely be adopting Confucianism, because that is obviously...
I have some information that may be of use.
Thank you. That is obviously the religion of the Aztec Empire, our main trading partner. So if we take a look at what Confucianism has, it's actually a well-developed religion. Using faith to purchase mosques, which will be helpful. The 20% combat strength near enemy cities that follow this religion might be. It will be if we decide to go to war with the Aztecs. May build universities, public schools, and research labs. I'm assuming that is with faith. So that could be useful as well. We'll see how much faith we develop. +1 production for each follower, which is great. And +2 faith for each foreign city following this religion. I don't know how that affects a non-founding country. And then one other one that I didn't have time to read because I was mulling over the last tenant. But all in all, it's looking like a fairly okay religion. It's not obviously tailor-made to the way I want to play Venice, but there's enough perks involved that we'll roll with it. We don't have a choice, so... And for some reason I decide that, hey, let's purchase one of Venice's glorious ships, the Great Galleass, until I realize, momentarily, that I don't have enough money now to purchase the harbor. Glorious move. So it'll be a little while longer before Genoa and Venice are conjoined in the glories of overseas trade. But thankfully, the Empire isn't the Empire. It's funny to describe this little two-city state as an empire. But the coffers aren't running dry. So it's not critical to get that set up. And I think having a ranged unit right on the well, right in the area, so we can shell those barbarian ships before they get anywhere near my triremes, I think that's just a good idea. And the barbarians have sailed up the east coast, it looks like, or there's another barbarian camp further down the peninsula. One of the two, but it's not really a concern. Not worried about that at all. They can sail up that direction all they want. For now. Obviously, once our trade routes expand, we'll have to expand. And there we have it, we're Confucianists. Which might, and I didn't consider this while playing, but this might lead to closer ties with the Aztecs, and I'm not really sure that that is the move that I want to make geopolitically, but sure enough, it's the move that has been forced upon us, as it were. And we can see with the Gallius moving in, I can take one of the triremes off the front line and send it back to Venice to get repaired too. Now if I can somehow get an admiral down there so that I can repair those ships well at sea, that'll be a great boon to the Venetian Navy. At the moment, though, it's not critical at all. I mean, I really don't see those barbarians coming through and making it all that difficult. And finally, in the glorious year 775 AD, the Venetians learned how to work with iron. Which is impressive they were able to build cannons without iron working. I digress. That's the joys of the Civ Tech tree. We can see that Gallius too, it's a pretty powerful ship. For taking on petty pirates and the like. Now we have no sources of horses, yet we're going to learn how to ride them. I'm assuming we picked them up in trade somewhere, just a couple of them, you know. Horses for the rich type thing. And after the glorious show that the Gallius made in combat, I think it's safe to say that we can hold the line with the Trireme and a Gallius. There shouldn't be too much trouble coming our way from there. Now, what I could also do is obviously send down a little expeditionary force and actually take out that camp, which might be happening in the next episode. And still no cities to trade with. Trying to figure out where that second trade route came from. It's the Aztecs trading with us. So there we go. We've got a good cultural exchange going on between the two empires. And we can finally afford to purchase a harbor in Genoa. And that's where we'll leave it. So thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, leave your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, jokes, musings, what have you below. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.